A couple releases ago in Thrawn's Revenge, the Empire of the Hand had most of its core roster of space units updated, but in the releases since then we haven't changed too much for them. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what to expect from them in the next couple of releases. In the upcoming Point 3 release, there aren't too many broad changes for the faction just yet. Some of the stats of their space and ground units will be getting some quality of life adjustments to bring them up to certain modern standards and correct a few issues, mostly caused by them being a guinea pig for a hardpoint generating script I've been working on. That script has been mostly finalized and is being used for Revan's Revenge as well, so any related issues like some messed up targeting restrictions should be cleared up. Ground has been the long-standing pain point for the faction both art and gameplay-wise. Aside from the art assets and designs being among the oldest in the mod, having been there since the initial release about 12 years ago, the number of units has also generally meant you end up with a couple very specialized ones like the RFT and MMT, and then one or two others like the Gilzain or Air Striker depending on the release, which are just too good at too many things having to fill the gaps, and that kind of makes them frustrating to fight against, as well as boring to play as. We've been hoping to overhaul them for a long time, but while the full overhaul won't be in Point 3, we've started making significant progress. First, the final ground roster for them has been fully planned, hammering out what the specialties of each unit should be, and setting up all of their intended roles for 11 plus new vehicles, with infantry on top of that. Stats are being set up for those units currently, which will mean that art is all that remains to be done, and it'll be much easier to do the art once we know exactly what the stats are for it. We've had a concept artist slowly working on them for a while, but they've been busy, so we're hoping with Point 4 we'll be able to finish off at least the design language and fill the holes as necessary, while being able to test the gameplay side with placeholder models. The end result hopefully being that the full overhaul is ready in time for Point 4. And while a good chunk of their space roster was redone recently, that wasn't the entire roster. The Empire of the Hand is essentially made of three constituent parts. There's pure Chiss source designs like the Froro, the Syndic, the Intigo, and the Phalanx, which will be what's shared between their and the Chiss roster, though possibly with some of those being variants rather than the exact same ship for the two of them. There's also the Imperial Fusion designs, which take Imperial design language and mix it with the Chiss, so those are ships like the Ascendancy class, the Chaff class, the Kinda Ghosts, and so on. Those two groups are the ones which were largely handled in the last update. That leaves the third group, which is more of an overarching group of groups, consisting of contributions from the local species and other factions of the unknown regions who become members of the Empire of the Hand. These ships are ships like the Baomu. They have been redesigned, so we have the models for all the already included ones, as well as a few new ones, though they are awaiting textures and will be included in Point 4 for sure. This split into three sections will also be part of their ground roster as well, so there will be the same mix of Chiss, Imperial Fusion, and local forces. On the space side, the local forces will be providing a total of 6 units, so 3 groups providing 2 units each. One helpful thing for the Empire of the Hand and Chiss recently has been the release of the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy by Timothy Zahn. While it is a canon book trilogy rather than a Legends one, some of the characters, species, locations, and so on make sense to include for the mod's purposes. There aren't any actual ship designs or anything like that given by the trilogy, but it does provide certain classifications like Night Dragons and Man of War used by the Chiss, which we'll be applying to our designs the same way the term Star Destroyer works for the Empire, for example. A lot of this just makes for different narrative or visual flavor rather than being a whole new system, though it did introduce a lot of heroes that can be used for both factions. The member species of the Empire of the Hand providing those extra units we talked about will also be based off of the species Thrawn allied with in the Ascendancy trilogy, starting off with the Patatis, the Patchian, and the Garwian, with the possible inclusion of the Vac and the Liaoan down the line as well. This will of course also include groups known to work with them in Legends, like the Ikari of Kariak. If we didn't reference these books, we'd have to make stuff up ourselves, so it makes more sense to go with Zahn's creations when that's the case. It doesn't contradict anything else, it's just kind of a blank canvas. On the galactic level, the Empire of the Hand will be receiving their first government mechanics in Point 4 as well. For the upcoming Point 3 release, though, there is still a lot being done on the galactic map that does impact them. With all the map reworks and the introduction of all the future playable factions, the Unknown Regions is going from just being the Empire of the Hand to including a bunch of other space for them to play around with. A lot of those factions are in very early stages of development, so they won't have a ton of content just yet, but it should help the space around the Empire of the Hand feel a lot more engaging. Down the line, once there's a bit more content there, it'll also mean some dedicated unknown regions maps. The first government mechanic in Point 4 will involve how they access the minor group units, though there will be at least one second one involving their relationship with the Chiss Ascendancy. Hopefully that helps shed some light on what the state of the hand is and what's to come for them. I'll be doing a video soon, possibly this week, with a broader overview of the Point 3 version as a whole, but if there's interest, I'll probably do a video like this one for the direction of future factions in the rest of the mod. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.